You earn six figures. You can pay Christmas for everyone. Dad insisted. The total, $14,300 for 18 people. Okay, you're not going to believe this story. I always thought family meant support, a safety net. But what happens when family first means you're footing a $14,000 Christmas bill, only for your own children to get a $20 gift card and used socks, while your sister's kids unwrapped brand new iPhones and a PS5? That's when I quietly pulled the plug on the $2,800 a month debt I was secretly paying for my dad. And let me tell you, when that first notice landed on my doorstep, that's when everything really started to unravel. Buckle up, because this is Adam, 36, anesthesiologist. On paper, I make six figures. Married, 2 kids, decent house, still chipping away at med school debt. But to my father, that apparently makes me the family's personal ATM. This is the story of how I paid $14,300 for one Christmas, watched my kids open the most insultingly awful gifts, and then finally said, enough! To get why I finally snapped, you need to know my family. My dad, Mike, 63, retired construction foreman. His entire personality is big truck, bigger ego. My mom, Linda, 61, the classic peacemaker, the kind who'd set herself on fire to keep everyone comfortable, and then call it love. Then there's my older sister, Amanda, 38, stay-at-home influencer who sells skincare occasionally and calls it a business. Her husband, Todd, consults, which mostly means day trading badly and bragging about his grind. They have 3 kids, and then there's me, the good kid, the one who actually left, got a real degree, a real job and real bills. Translation: the dependable one you can always squeeze for cash. The favoritism wasn't subtle, not ever. When I was 17, I asked Dad to co-sign on a used Honda Civic for my hospital volunteer shifts. A $5,500 car. I had $2,000 saved. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "Men stand on their own 2 feet. I'm not putting my name on some loan for you to flake on. You want a car, you work for it." 2 years later, Amanda needed a brand new RAV44 safety when she went to a state school 2 hours away. Dad didn't just co-sign, he put $5,000 down and covered her insurance. Years later, drowning in med school debt, I asked if they could help with $500 to keep my utilities from being shut off. I got a speech about responsibility. Amanda, they took out a helic to pay for her destination wedding in Cabo. Yeah, the pattern was set. Fast forward. I finished residency at 32, landed a job at a regional hospital. For the first time, my bank balance didn't terrify me. It wasn't bathing in gold money, like people imagine for an anesthesiologist. It was $280,000 a year. But with $290,000 in student loans, 2 kids, Noah, 8, and Emma, 6, a mortgage, late starting retirement savings, malpractice insurance, and the quiet panic of being the last line between sleepy and never waking up. Good money? Yes. Infinite money? No. About 18 months before that infamous Christmas, Dad called. It was a Tuesday, 6:40 a.m. I was in the parking garage, about to start a brutal day of back-to-back knee replacements. "Son, you got a minute?" My stomach clenched. He only used that tone when money was involved. "What's up, Dad?" He launched into it. His F-150 was on its last legs. Transmission, engine light, the whole 9 yards. He'd found a great deal on a 2023 F-350 dually. Fully loaded diesel, lifted. The whole midlife crisis package. Sticker price, $89,000. "I got the down payment," he said, "but the bank wants a cosigner because of some medical bills that ding my credit. It's just a formality. I'll be making the payments, $2,800 a month, no problem. They just need your name on it, so we get approved. Nothing changes for you." In my defense, this was before I fully grasped how truly dire his finances were. I hesitated. $2,800 a month isn't nothing, Dad. "Adam," he said, using my profession like a cheat code. "You're a doctor. You make 6 figures. My own son can't put his name on a piece of paper so his dad can drive a decent truck in retirement. I could already hear the follow-up conversations with Mom. The guilt trip. After all we've done for you. Fine, I said because I was stupid and tired. Email me the loan documents. I need to read them first. He showed up that night with a physical folder. Classic. The truck loan was through a credit union. $2,812.37 a month. 60 months. Both our names were on the loan. The title, however, only in his name. Red flag. Huge red flag. Dad, why am I on the loan but not the title? He waved a hand dismissively. It's just how they set it up. Don't worry. I'm not dying and leaving you stuck with it. I'll carry the note. You'll never see a bill. They just needed your credit score to push it through. Mom chirped from the kitchen. Your father deserves something nice, honey. He worked hard his whole life, as if I hadn't. I read the fine print twice. I knew exactly what I was signing. If he stopped paying, they'd come after both of us. My credit, my liability. But I also knew that if I refused, this would become the new family myth. Adam refused to help his father in his old age. So I signed. 2 weeks later, Dad texted me a photo of the truck. Lift kit, chrome, the whole monstrosity. Then, a month later, the first payment hit. I was scrolling my banking app in the call room, grabbing a quick moment between cases and saw it. $2,812.37 ACH to Midwest Community Credit Union. My stomach dropped to my feet. I called him immediately. Hey, looks like the truck payment came out of my account. Yeah, that's just for the first few months, he said, completely casual. The lady at the credit union set up the auto pay with your account because you were there. I'll get it switched. Don't worry about it. Dad, we never agreed I'd make the payments. We agreed you'd help me get the truck, he snapped. I'm retired, Adam. It's not like I've got accountants and assistants. I'll go in next week and fix it. I'm good for it. He didn't. Month 2 payment. Month 3 payment. I called again. Same story. They messed it up. I'll go in. Stop stressing. You make more in a week than that payment. He wasn't wrong about the math. But it wasn't the math that bothered me. It was the sheer entitlement. I told myself it was temporary, that I could absorb it for a bit to avoid drama. Meanwhile, we delayed home repairs, pushed back a vacation, and I made a slightly smaller extra payment on my own loans. That, for a bit, turned into 18 months, 18 payments, $50,622.66. I know the exact number because I eventually made a spreadsheet. Which brings us to the worst Christmas of my life. It was mid-November when Dad called with his big idea. I was on my lunch break, eating a sad sandwich in the physician's lounge, scrolling through pre-op labs. Adam, we got to talk about Christmas. Okay. We're doing it big this year. Whole family. Your grandma, your cousins from Tennessee, everybody. 18 people. House is gonna be full. That sounds nice, I said, already dreading what was coming. It will be. Your mother wants it perfect. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. The 4 worst words in my family. With inflation and all, it's just not realistic for us this year. I'm on a fixed income. Your mom's on Social Security. But you make 6 figures. You can cover Christmas for everyone. He said it like he was asking me to pick up an extra bag of ice. Cover what, exactly? Gifts, food, maybe help with travel for Aunt Jill and her crew. You know, just put it on your card and we'll call it your contribution. Dad, we have our own budget, our own kids. I can't just... You can't, his voice sharpened. You're an anesthesiologist. Don't act broke. It's your turn to step up for the family. Amanda and Todd don't have your kind of money. I could practically hear the script he'd already rehearsed with Mom. You're asking me to pay for Christmas for 18 people, but Amanda gets to play house on Facebook and Todd gets to day trade? I fired back, the resentment bubbling up. Watch it, he snapped. You think you're better than them now? You're not the only one who works hard, and your kids have plenty. They won't even notice. Family takes care of family, Adam. That line again. Family takes care of family. As long as the flow is one direction. I should have said no right there. I didn't, because I could already see how it would go. Mom crying, Amanda texting me about how I'm ruining Christmas. Dad telling everyone I refuse to help despite being rich. So I said very slowly, if I'm paying, then I set a budget, and it needs to be reasonable. Of course, he said way too quickly. We're not talking crazy numbers, just Christmas. I told him I'd think about it and talk to my wife, Emily. That night, after the kids were in bed, I showed her my banking app. The truck payments, the student loans, our mortgage. So now he wants you to finance his truck and his Christmas, she said, leaning against the counter. Basically, Emily is a pediatric nurse. She's seen the worst of human nature and somehow still believes in people. But she does not sugarcoat anything. Adam, you keep setting yourself on fire to keep them warm, and then you act surprised when you're burned. I know. No, I don't think you do, she said. Because if you did, you'd have told him number 18 months ago. We stood there in silence for a minute. The annoying part? I could afford it. Technically, I could cover Christmas and still pay our bills, but it would mean no extra on my loans, no vacation, tightening our belt while Amanda and Todd coasted again. What if, I said slowly, we do it once. One last time. And then I'm done with all of it. No more auto pay on his truck. No more surprise expenses. Hard boundaries. You're talking about this like a surgery, she said, a small smile playing on her lips. Fine. But if you do this, you do it with your eyes open. And I want it in writing. This is the last bailout. We literally wrote it down on a sticky note on the fridge. Last bailout. So yeah, I agreed. Okay, Dad, I said when I called him back. I'll cover Christmas this year, but we're doing a budget. $400 per adult. $300 per kid. I'm not flying people first class. Sure, he said way too jovially. You're the boss. Spoiler, I was not the boss. The numbers started adding up before December even started. Flights for Aunt Jill and 2 cousins. $1,750. Rental van for them, because Dad's truck apparently can't be used for errands. $120. Deposit for a catering company, because Mom suddenly decided cooking for 18 was too much with her back. $3,200. A family experience outing 2 days after Christmas. A suite at a minor league hockey game Dad insisted would be memories for the kids. $2,600. Then the gifts. This is where I really should have pulled the plug. Mom texted Emily and me a list. To make things easier. For Amanda's kids, 2 iPhone 15s. They're responsible with tech. We trust them. 1 PS5 with 2 extra controllers and 3 games. For Amanda, something nice. She deserves it after a hard year, with a link to a $900 designer bag. For Todd, guys' toys LOL, linking to a $600 drone. And my kids, my sweet Noah and Emma, their gift suggestion, $20 Target gift cards. And then the kicker, Grandma has some of your dad's old wool socks. They're still in good shape. We'll wrap them for fun. I thought it was a joke. A sick, twisted joke. I screenshotted the text and showed Emily. You're not seriously going along with this, she said, her voice dangerously quiet. I'm not buying used socks, I said, but then my internal conflict kicked in. But I don't want to start World War III before Christmas. We'll make sure the kids have real gifts from us at home. I'll handle their Santa stuff separately. I'll just pay for whatever my parents decide to give them and keep my mouth shut. So that's what I did. Best by order. 2 iPhones, 1 PS5 bundle, $3,199. Designer bag, $948 after tax. Drone, $639. Miscellaneous other gifts for extended family that Mom added since you're already at it. Another $1,600. Total charge to my card for Family Christmas in December. $14,326.41. I have the statement. We still did our own smaller Christmas at home for our kids. Legos, art supplies, a used Nintendo Switch I'd gotten from a coworker. Santa stockings. That part was great. Then we loaded everything into the car and drove to my parents' house for the big Christmas afternoon. The living room was packed. Wrapping paper everywhere. Christmas music. Kids hyped up on sugar. Dad held court in his recliner. Like a king. Mom buzzed around taking photos for Facebook. Amanda and Todd were on the couch in matching pajamas, acting like they hadn't contributed exactly zero to the mountain under the tree. Everyone, Mom said, beaming. Let's do gifts from Grandma and Grandpa first. I sat on the floor next to Emily, our kids perched in front of us, excited. I already knew what had been bought, but there's something about seeing it actually handed out that hits different. First, Amanda's oldest. iPhone. Screaming, hugging. Oh my God, you guys are the best. Second kid, iPhone. Repeat screaming. Third kid, PS5. Todd, high five Dad. This is sick, man. Designer bag for Amanda. She burst into fake tears. Mom, Dad, you shouldn't have. Drone for Todd. Immediate talk about taking it up to the lake house they rent once a year. Meanwhile, my son Noah opened a card. $20, he said, trying to sound excited. Noah's kind. Too kind. Then the socks. 2 pairs of thick wool socks, clearly used. One still had that worn patch on the heel. Grandpa used to wear those hunting. Dad boomed. That's history right there. My 6-year-old daughter, Emma, held them up. Why do they smell like the garage? She whispered. I laughed once. It came out wrong. Emily put a hand on my knee. Hard. Dad glanced at me. What? They're practical. And your kids have plenty of toys. We don't want them spoiled, right? But Amanda's kids, with brand new iPhones and a PS5, weren't spoiled? Here's the thing, my kids weren't sad. They were a little confused, but they were okay. They had their own gifts from us. They were happy to see their cousins. This was my humiliation, not theirs. I sat there with this weird, buzzing, quiet rage in my chest while everyone else carried on like this was normal. Mom came over, lowered her voice. Adam, don't make a face. This is about the kids enjoying themselves. The kids, I said through gritted teeth. Which ones? She flinched. Don't start. So I didn't. I smiled. I took photos. I watched my father brag about providing Christmas for the whole family, like he personally dropped 14 grand. At one point, I went outside under the pretense of taking a call and just sat in my car, staring at the steering wheel. My January 2nd payment schedule was open in my brain like a spreadsheet. Mortgage draft on the 1st, student loans on the 3rd, utilities, groceries, and the truck payment auto draft on the 5th. $2,812.37. Again, it hit me like someone jolted the entire car. I had been quietly bleeding thousands every month to keep my dad in a truck he couldn't afford, on top of paying for Christmas entirely, while he gave my kids garage socks and talked about men stand on their own 2 feet. I sat there in that car, and something finally snapped. Not loud, not dramatic, just done. No yelling, no big speech. I just thought this is the last time. January 2nd, 9:02 a.m. I was at my desk in the anesthesia office, between cases on my bank's website. I pulled up the scheduled auto payments. There it was, Midwest Community Credit Union, $2,812.37, recurring on the 5th. I hovered for maybe 5 seconds. Then I clicked, cancel autopay. Confirmation, your recurring payment has been canceled. I felt lighter than I had in months. That afternoon, on my lunch break, I called the credit union. AirPods in, walking laps around the back parking lot in scrubs and a parka. Hi, this is Dr. Adam, co-borrower on loan XXXXX. I need to confirm something. The rep pulled up the account. Yes, we show you and Michael as co-borrowers. Last payment received December 5th, via autopay from your checking ending in 4367. Right. That autopay has been cancelled on my end. I want to be clear about the consequences. If no payment is made, what happens and on what timeline? She explained calmly. Due date the 5th, 10 days grace period. After 30 days late, they report to credit bureaus. After 60 to 90, they start repossession. So if no one pays on January 5th, I clarified, it will show as late by roughly February 5th. Yes, sir. My goal is not to tank my credit, I said. My goal is to stop being the only one making payments on a vehicle I don't own or drive. Is there a way to have the loan refinanced solely into my father's name? Both borrowers need to apply, and he would have to qualify on his own, she said. Has his financial situation improved? I almost laughed. No. Then I'm afraid we can't unilaterally remove you from the loan. Got it, I said. So my options are keep paying for a truck that's not mine or accept the risk of a late mark and possible repossession, essentially. Yes, she said. Thank you. That's all I needed. I hung up and stood there in the cold for a second. It wasn't a fun choice. A repo would ding my credit, not destroy it. I've got a solid history, a mortgage, high income, but it wasn't nothing. But at some point, you pick your financial reputation or your sanity. I went home that night and laid it all out for Emily. I'd already printed everything. Truck loan documents, my bank statements with the autopays highlighted, the December credit card statement with the $14,326.41 in Christmas charges circled in red. Worst case, she said, looking at the numbers, the truck gets repoed and we take a 50 to 80 point hit on your score for a while. We're not moving. We're not financing anything big in the next couple of years. We can live with that. What we can't live with is this turning into the rest of our lives. Yeah, I said. So, she said, we're done. We're done, I echoed. We both signed another sticky note. Done with the truck. Stuck it next to last bailout. I'm dramatic in spreadsheets. What can I say? The 5th came. No payment left my account. I didn't call my dad. I figured he'd notice when his bank started calling. Turns out the credit union had my home address as the mailing address for the loan. So, the first notice came to me. Wednesday, January 15th. I came home from a late shift, still buzzing from a complicated emergency C-section, and saw the envelope on the kitchen counter. Midwest Community Credit Union. Important account information enclosed. Emily raised an eyebrow. That's probably it. I opened it. Notice of past due payment. Your loan payment due on January 5th has not been received. Past due amount, $2,812.37. Please remit immediately to avoid late fees and potential negative reporting. I took a photo of the letter with my phone. Then I pulled out the folder I'd started in December. Truck loan, bank statements, credit card statement, printed texts. Are you going to call him? Emily asked. No, I said. I'm going to wait for him to call me. Didn't have to wait long. The next afternoon, he blew up my phone while I was in the OR. 4 missed calls. 3 texts. Call me now. Adam, what did you do to the truck payment? The bank just called. They say autopay is off. By the time I got out of the room and hit the locker room, he was calling again. I answered. Hey, Dad. What is going on? He exploded. They're saying the truck payment bounced. The autopay is gone. I'm delinquent. The autopay didn't bounce, I said, my voice eerily calm. I canceled it on January 2nd. Silence. You what? I canceled the autopay, I repeated. I've made 18 payments on that truck. That's over $50,000. I'm done. You can't just be done, he shouted. We had an agreement. Yeah, I said. We did. You told me you'd make the payments. Instead, they've been coming out of my account for a year and a half while you drive a $90,000 truck and tell everyone you're broke. That's how family works, he snapped. You help your parents. You make 6 figures. You can afford it. I'm retired. It's not about whether I can afford it, I said. I'm not willing to anymore. You listen to me, he said, his voice dropping, threatening. You put your name on that loan. If you don't pay, they're coming after you too. You want a repo on your record? You think your fancy hospital is going to like that when they check your credit? I already talked to the credit union, I said. I know exactly what happens. I'm prepared to live with it. Are you prepared to pay for your own truck? He was breathing hard through the phone. You ungrateful little kid, he hissed. After everything I've done for you. I almost asked him to list it. I didn't. Instead, I said, we should talk about this in person. You, me, Mom, Emily, Amanda. Bring everyone. I want it all on the table. Saturday. You think you're going to gang up on me? He scoffed. No, I said. I think for the first time, we're all going to look at the actual numbers. He laughed, short and ugly. Fine. Saturday. Don't be late. Saturday afternoon, we drove over, my folder in my backpack, my stomach in knots. Mom opened the door, already frowning. I don't know why we have to do this, she muttered. Because your husband thinks I'm his ATM, I thought. Dad sat in his recliner. Amanda and Todd at the table, kids thankfully in the other room. Emily sat beside me, calm, a silent sentinel. So, Dad said, skipping hello, you've decided to wreck your father's credit because you're mad about Christmas. Christmas is part of it, I said. Mostly it's about a pattern that's been going on for years. I opened the folder. Checking statements last 18 months. I spread them on the table. Every $2,812.37 truck payment highlighted. Total $50,622.66. All from my account. Seriously, Amanda whispered, looking horrified at the stack of papers. I slid out the loan document. Here's the contract. Your name and mine on the loan. Title and insurance in your name. I don't even have a key, but I've been paying. You make more money, Dad shrugged. It evens out. Emily snorted. Evens out how? Your grandkids got used socks while he covered your luxury truck. I then laid out the December card bill. And here's $14,326 for a family Christmas. Travel, catering, hockey suite, 2 iPhones, a PS5, a designer bag, a drone. All on my card. We told you Adam helped. Dad said, his face getting red. What's the difference? The difference, I said, my voice steady, is you treat my income like it's yours and call me selfish when I say no. You're a doctor, he snapped. Family depends on you. That's how it works. That's how it worked, I said. Not anymore. I'm not leaving you stuck with this truck, I added. But I'm done paying. Sell it, refinance it, cover it yourself, or let it get repoed. Your decision. I'm out. You can't just be done, he raged. I can't, I said. Mom tried. We're family. You can't expect him to give up the one nice thing he has. I'm not, I said. I'm just refusing to fund it. Christmas, too. Dad sneered. Christmas is already paid for. I know, I said. There just won't be a repeat. Next year we're home. You're welcome to join us or not. This isn't about a truck payment, I finished. It's the bill for every time I've been treated like an open wallet and a second-class son. I'm not arguing anymore. I'm changing how I participate. I closed the folder. From now on, I'm not co-signing, not auto-paying, not funding holidays. You'll still be invited to see the kids, but the Bank of Adam is closed. We left. No slam doors, just a clean, decisive cut. The fallout came fast. In the family chat, Dad called me a traitor. I didn't argue. I just dropped screenshots of the truck payments and the Christmas bill. A couple of aunts messaged privately. They had no idea and told me to focus on my own family. By March, the F-350 was gone. A cousin sent a photo of Dad climbing out of an old Silverado. He'll say he downsized by choice, Emily said. Good, I replied. He finally made a choice. My credit took one small ding, But suddenly, an extra $2,800 stayed in our account every month. We bumped the kids' college funds, hit my loans harder. Emily finally upgraded her phone. The house felt lighter. Fast forward a year. This Christmas, it was just us and Emily's parents. Pancakes, pajamas, a few thoughtful gifts, no flights, no catering. The big present was a 3-day trip to a science museum and indoor water park. Around noon, an email came from the credit union. Loan paid in full. Confirmation. The truck loan was officially closed. Later, we built a crooked snowman in the yard. No tension humming underneath. Just Noah fighting with the carrot nose. Then Emma insisting he needed a pink scarf. Standing there in the cold, listening to my kids laugh, I realized how long I'd confused peace with keeping the peace. Keeping the peace meant paying any price to avoid a blow-up. Real peace meant letting people have their tantrums while I protected my own family. I don't regret the money. It bought me clarity. I just know I'm never paying that tuition again. Have you ever been stuck in a family dynamic like this? How did you finally draw your line in the sand? Tell me your story in the comments below. I really want to know.